Hello everybody. I'd like to show you a few tips on how to make your Family Tree Maker Descendant chart look better. I've created one here using mostly the default settings, and there's a few improvements we can make to it. First off, it's very wide and not very tall. You can see here at the chart size that it's over 70 feet wide and only a few inches tall. Those are pretty poor proportions. But one thing that can often improve this is to check the last Descendant generation vertically box. And this helps the situation by stacking the last generation in the chart in vertical columns, like you can see here. We've reduced the width down to a little bit more than 20 feet wide, which makes this chart much more manageable for display when it's in paper form. The last Descendant generation vertically box doesn't always make this much of an effect, but it's always worth a try. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that I've included pictures in this chart. You can see them right here, but frankly you can barely tell that they're there, and you certainly can't tell who's in them. Zooming in a little bit, you can see how tiny they are with respect to the text. I could possibly try to make them bigger by typing in a different dimension in this pictures size box, but it won't make much difference. The trick here is that the pictures by themselves won't increase the size of the box, so that they'll always be constrained when the box is the size it is. The way to change this is to change the setting for what's included in the box. The default is name only, but I like to include birth and death. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to stick with name, you can use blank line only. But I'm going to go ahead and include birth information and death information, and I'll use some blank lines also to make them make the box even bigger. And voila, the pictures are bigger. The last thing I'll talk about is the font size in the boxes. It doesn't look like it here because I've zoomed in so far, but the default font size is 6 point. That can work pretty well if you want a really compact chart and you're using it for your own reference purposes, but if you start showing it to people, it can be kind of hard for a lot of people to read. The minimum size I'd recommend for public display is 9 point, and if you want to be really nice to those older folks whose eyesight isn't quite what it used to be, even 10 or 12 point would be even better. So I'm going to go ahead and change the font size to 9 point. Like so for the name, and then you have to do this separately for each line. And for the name, I'm going to keep bolded so it'll pop out like you can see here. And I'll go OK. And the font is bigger, and again, although you don't see a big difference on this screen because I'm so zoomed in, it'll make a big difference when you have it printed out. I should also point out that if you're going to have your chart printed, you should have the boxes overlap page breaks box checked. That's because there will be no 8.5 by 11 page breaks on a wall chart. And that's about it for now. Happy chart making!